Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time finding us. You are listening to Context for Chaos, where we dive into the spirituality within our worldly human experience.
Hey, Vanessa.
Hi.
Okay, you were reading Love in the Western World.
Oh, yeah, baby. I have got some interesting backstory and a little myth to talk about. So buckle up, hang out for like 7 minutes, and then I'm very curious where this conversation goes. Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. So I want to talk about the origins of our conversations on romance, like the beginning. So like I said, I'm reading this book called Love in the Western World. You have it too. And the author offers a very interesting theory about passionate love. That it is actually suffering. So I think in modern Western ideology, passion is a prerequisite for commitment. Without passion, how are we to know our souls are truly aligned? Without passion, how do we return to love when it sours? Right? But this author brings up a very good point that romantic love was never considered a prerequisite for long-term commitment or marriage until modern times. When Disney films and rom-coms were the rage back in like the 90s and early 2000s, that's when we also started hearing, well, we only see the love up until the wedding day. We don't see what happens after that, right? So we haven't really tackled yet what passionate love is. We just think that it's this precursor. So I don't think we can get to the bottom of what love really is without addressing what it might not be, or what we've been tricked or marketed into thinking it might be. So the author mentions in the book that in the 12th century, the ladies of this French court, I think it was the court of Champagne, actually, like the very regal court of Champagne, all agreed.
Nice.
Right? Very regal. They all agreed that love is incompatible with marriage. And most of us in the Western world today believe the opposite. One cannot be without the other. Right? So that stated that to love, so it stated that to love someone, if you love someone, you don't owe them anything. You don't owe them your stability, a good family life, mutual assets, nothing. It's just passion. Marriage, you actually owe somebody something. You own a house together, you have assets, you have children, there's just things that the law forms around the two of you that is now like combining you together, right? And like I said, what the author said is passion is suffering. Okay, so let me present his first convincing piece of evidence, which is the very first romantic story or myth, since we don't know the author and it was a story with a moral point. But this story is called Tristan and Isolde. Have you ever heard of this story?
I have, yes.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to run through this story really quick for everybody, and I'm curious if you if you've read it, if this makes sense to you, because I basically made a great synopsis of it. So the story starts out with Tristan, who's this young boy who loses both of his parents, but is taken in by King Mark of Cornish, who is his mother's brother, so Tristan's uncle. And when Tristan hits puberty, he wants to prove himself so that someday he can become a knight. There's this giant named Morholt who comes to Cornish where he lives to basically rape and pillage. And King Mark allows Tristan to take a chance at fighting him. He wins, Morholt is killed, but Tristan is mortally wounded, and the wound can only be healed in this super special way. So he's in so much pain and he's dying, so he asks to be set adrift on the ocean where he can die alone. And his little boat lands in Ireland, where he's found and taken to the royal court because in some incredible twist of fate, the Queen of Ireland is the only one who has the antidote to this wound. Well, that luck is dampened when it turns out that Morholt, the giant he killed, is the Queen's brother. Somehow her brother is a giant. But they don't know what happened and they don't know he's dead yet. So he's treated by her daughter, the princess, Isolde. He's patched up, sent on his way back to Cornish. Neither of them even looks at each other twice. He just goes back to Cornish. So back in Cornish, his uncle, King Mark, sees this golden hair that's dropped by a bird, and he decides, I'm going to marry whoever this hair belongs to. So he sends Tristan on a quest to find whose hair this is. So Tristan goes off and lands back in Ireland somehow. But now the queen and her daughter have found out Tristan killed her brother, Morholt. And Isolde takes a knife and tries to stab him. And he's like, no, wait, you want to be queen? And Isolde's like, how? And Tristan's like, you got golden hair. The king of Cornish wants to marry a girl with this exact hair type. Do you want to be queen of Cornish? And she's like, hell yeah. So they sail back to Cornish together, along with Isolde's maid. And neither of them are flirting or showing any signs of liking each other. No signs. Nothing's happening yet. So on their journey, Tristan and Isolde are parched. They want something to drink to quench their thirst. So the maid gives them a drink she finds in their belongings. But the maiden doesn't realize the drink she found is actually a potion prepared by the Queen of Ireland for the night of Isolde and King Mark's wedding. It's basically a love potion that's supposed to last for 3 years. Tristan and Isolde drink it, and they fall in love. And this domino effect happens from there. And you all can read the details, but I'm going to skip ahead. So basically, they're drunk in love from this potion. But what's super interesting is that they go to this hobbit monk guy to kind of confess, because it's a very religious time, so they have to confess to somebody. But what do they confess to him? That they don't want to be in love with each other. They're stuck with each other because they're living outside of time and space due to this potion, and they can't leave each other. They're basically suffering, i.e. passionate love. So right at the end of the 3 years, the potion wears off. Tristan is out in the woods trying to find food for them because I think they're living out there. When he realizes, I wanted to be a knight. I wanted to prove myself and move up in the court and be known for cool stuff. And I've just been out here with Isolde. And I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And he comes back and tells Isolde. And Isolde's like, funny you should say that. I kind of wanted to be queen and have silk sheets and be doted on. And this isn't for me either. So they shake on it and somehow sneak her back in. King Mark accepts her. Tristan is also kind of forgiven. And you think the story was over. No. Even though the love potion has worn off and they've separated, they keep trying to get back to each other. Even though she's married the king and Tristan ends up marrying another lady also named Isolde.
Get out.
Right? Literally when your friend says her ex is dating someone who looks just like her. It's literally like that. And he pines for the original Isolde until he's on his deathbed. Original Isolde hears about his imminent death and sends word that she's on her way to heal him. So she has to sail to him and tells him if she survives this journey, she's going to raise a white sail to let him know she's alive and she's on her way. If she happens to die on the journey, she's going to raise a black sail. Isolde, his wife, is so jealous of this pining and this relationship, she tells Tristan that a black sail was raised. So he lets go and he dies. Isolde, the original, arrives, runs up, finds him dead. She lies down next to him and dies too. Right? The beginnings of Romeo and Juliet, basically. So they exit the world together. Now, according to the author, what this myth tells us is that romantic love is suffering. But what is that suffering? Obstacles. This story is the original story of limerence. We want what is out of reach. Quoting from the book, whatever is turned into reality is no longer love. And another poignant quote, what they, Tristan and Isolde, love, what they love is love and being in love. And one last quote, unless the course of love is being hindered, there is no romance, and it is romance that we revel in. They don't love each other. Even under the spell, they say they don't love each other, but yearn for each other. They both end up marrying someone else, right? So obstacles are what keep their passion alive, not being with each other. So back in the day, maybe the myth had a dragon that kept them apart, or like a fire bridge, or oceans, or whatever. And in modern day, it can be long distance, but it can also be emotional unavailability, an age gap that causes maturity differences, wanting different futures, but somehow thinking that you can make it work. It's that one person is in a relationship, and so you can't have them. So it's an interesting beginning, because this is the very first romantic story that was ever really recorded. I mean, maybe outside of like something like Ishtar and Tammuz, but that was a goddess and a man. These are two human beings, two normal human beings falling in love through a potion, never looking at each other before this potion, falling in love through the potion, but after the potion, they keep trying to get back to each other. And what keeps them in this limerence are these obstacles between them. But when they're with each other, they don't end up with each other. So I think that's interesting. I think that a lot of us in modern times don't really know what love is, but we keep equating it to this passionate suffering. And then we keep measuring each relationship to the amount of suffering that we feel, even though we don't call it suffering. We call it passion. So I'm curious, what do you think from maybe your own relationships or your own philosophy or your own just like whatever comes up in your mind? What do you think about passionate love in terms of modern ideology, and what keeps us in these relationships that hurt and maybe we never see come into fruition? And yeah, like what is it that causes us to come together like that? Why do we fall in love with the things that we can't have? And why do we yearn for months, weeks, years for things that we can't have?
Okay. So many flowers of thought are popping up in my brain.
Yes.
In that story particularly, I wonder if the construct of love, that thing that happened to them, that was intoxicating, and then when they came back to their senses and their autonomy and they thought, oh, I'm half-baked, like there were things I wanted to do that do require only me, to go off and become a knight, or to fulfill my dreams of
silk sheets and champagne.
Yeah. It gets me thinking about how that love is a decision. Love is a choice. That cathexis, that limerence of things happening to you.
Ooh.
While also having a sense of control, a sense of certainty. So that would be limerence, that sense of control, a sense of certainty. The cathexis is that high, that intoxication, that thing happening to you, that passive act of falling into love. That's what happened when they were under the influence of the potion. And then when that wore off, it was like, oh, I don't actually want to be in love. But the chemicals have already acted upon the system. So the yearning and then the seeking each other till their departure, that makes sense. Because you get this high, this intoxication, this thing is happening to you. And then when it wears off, or you have a moment of clarity, even if it hasn't worn off.
Right.
And you realize, wait, there's so many things I need to do. I'm trying to build an empire. I'm trying to establish tiny disciplines. I'm trying to, I'm in the middle of my PhD. I'm, starting a career. there's so many things you're doing independently of this intoxication that you have these moments of clarity where it's like, wait, I can't choose to love this person because obstacle.
Yeah, totally.
Because this thing that's in my way. And to choose to remain close to someone or to choose to love someone while going into your independent obstacles, while exploring your own adventure, that's commitment, that's devotion, that's responsibility. That is these not intoxicating, really dense ideas or big promises, really. So that's why we only see it up until the wedding day, because that's a big promise made in the Disney lore. You know, it's happily ever after. You just think that they act out this grand finale ever after. Like, no, it's just tiny, I imagine. It's just one tiny hurdle after another of choosing the person. I have these things I need to do. Can you show up and support me in them? You have these things you want to do. Can I show up and support you in them? What if we're both moving through obstacles? Can we support each other? Can we choose each other? Can we love each other? Because limerence and cathexis, limerence is a way to stay autonomous, to stay independent, to stay unaffected, while remaining completely in control of all the little chemicals in your body, in your brain, in your heart. But you get the high of love. You get to receive love or give love, or just you live in fantasy, la la land, while remaining completely selfish and unto yourself. And then cathexis is this like, wow, just whoa, wow, ooh, ah, you know, it's all happening to you. It's all happening. You feel like you don't have a choice in the matter, but you're still independent because you're just in consumption. You're just experiencing the other. You haven't chosen the person. For me personally, moment by moment, I'm asking myself something my therapist posed to me is, can you be present without certainty? Because I'm trying to enjoy my moment right now. There is nothing else before me that I'd rather have. So I want to experience this other that's right in front of me. Even though I happen to know possibly a hypothetical death date, you know, or a hypothetical expiration date. And while anything could happen, anything at all, whether that comes to fruition or it actually doesn't, I have to choose to be present and let go of my need for control without the certainty, without the potion, without the devotion, there is neither cathexis. I mean, there is cathexis, there's all these chemicals, but that's created the situation. Like the potion has come and gone, and now I'm in a connection where there are hurdles. There's yearning. There's a desire for a future that's out of reach because it's the future. When the person is right here in this moment with me, it's not like they're living in the future and I'm just here in the present. Yeah, so that's currently where I'm at, is can I be present without certainty? Because that cathexis has come and it's still kind of happening and gone. I'm having more and more moments of clarity in my connection to someone while remaining mindful of my own self-love, my love of my own life. Have I become a knight? Have I gone and fulfilled my dreams? What are my dreams?
Yeah, totally.
So that makes sense metaphorically, that story.
Well, and it's like addressing what, even though we're trying to get at maybe what love is, hopefully by the end of the season, we'll have like a nice thesis around it. But to look at it, what it's not, what you're saying is, and maybe what the story is saying, love is not losing yourself. And that's a part of limerence. You're absolutely right that limerence keeps a distance, but you're still losing yourself because all of your thoughts go back to that person, your fantasies around that person. Your day is consumed by that person. It's hard a lot of times if you suffer from real limerence, like serious limerence, you can't get work done. You are just obsessing over someone, but it will never turn into a reality. And I think it's very interesting. One of the quotes that I said, whatever is turned into reality is no longer love. So once that person and you are standing as two human beings that have lives in front of you that can be shared in certain formats, not all of your life can necessarily be shared. Like you said, it's my decision to be with you, even if we have, two different desires. You want to become a knight, I want to be a queen, whatever, but maybe we can do them together, or maybe we have to do it separately. It's being more realistic around what it is that you want for your future or who you are.
Yeah.
And when you can remain in limerence, you never have to answer that question. It never has to become a reality. And what's interesting about this story is that when they were together, they're stuck out in the woods. Like they're constantly like having to deal with the fact that King Mark is pissed off and everybody's like telling on them. And like there's a lot more to the story. I just skipped ahead because there's just like, read it. It's very interesting. But they are kind of living in less or a lack, right? That he has to go find them food. And if she were to become queen, she would never have to lack anything technically.
Right.
So it's not saying, marry a person who can just give you everything you want and you give nothing back. But it's saying that maybe love is a balance of some kind. It's definitely not losing yourself. I think that's like a statement I could live with is when I find love or when I feel like I'm ready for a union, if I feel like I'm losing myself in it, that's a warning sign to me.
Well, and it's so much easier to live in the yearning and the fantasy and the limerence and the cathexis, whatever chemical thing is happening to you. It's just so much easier. You don't have to take any responsibility of like making a promise. You don't have to strategize. You don't have to do the boring admin tasks of, you want to be a knight? Okay, babe, let's make you a knight so that I can have silk sheets down the road. Like, let's work on your success so that my dreams come true. Because, maybe your success is doing and my success is getting. So let's do you together. That doesn't sound quite as sexy as just making do in the woods, making it work where it's at instead of choosing to build together.
Yeah, you're going to get triggered. You're going to see where you're not perfect. You're going to see where you don't know how to do this, and you're going to see where they don't know how to do this, where they're not perfect. You have to ask yourself, what overall are we doing here? If these little minutia things are bothering me, is it that the entire relationship I need to throw it out, or is it that I am scared, or I have only known love to be this miraculous idea in my mind, and if it doesn't live up to that, then it can't be love. And why I think these conversations are important. If you go to a psychic, 9 times out of 10, this probably isn't your person. Like if you go to a psychic or to me about love, about a specific person, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, I have seen in the future that this isn't your person. Why? Because you're probably stuck in limerence, or you're probably stuck in a perfection zone where you think that everything has to be aligned in this specific way. Otherwise, it's not the right person. And so you probably need to do more work on what you need rather than the idea that this whole relationship either needs to get chucked out or this whole relationship is perfect and someday it needs to happen, or whatever vortex you're living in that is not based on like actual loving back and forth relationships. So as a woman, I think a lot of us need to get more clear about our values and stop being afraid of who we're going to chase off because we have a value. And men, especially if you look at the card, the tarot card, the Lovers, from Rider-Waite, the man in the tarot card is looking at the woman, and the woman is looking up to the angel. And I think that that's a great image of how often relationships work. A man is inspired often by a woman's values, by a woman's future.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know that, you don't really know who you're picking. You're not discerning. And so you're going to always find a guy who wants to smash. That's just not that's not going to be hard. You're always going to find a guy who wants to smash. But if you want more valuable information from that guy, even if he isn't the right person for you, if you want more valuable information about what you want, because there's certain things that you don't know if you want or not until you have experiences, then you have to be at least discerning about very basic things. Like for me, like I said, if you make fun of astrology, we are not going to work out, period. So that's not going to happen between us. We are not going to be having sex because I'm not going to reward any situation that doesn't at least have some kind of value back to me in some kind of way. That's just where I am. It doesn't have to be like, I'm not saying like if you're out there trying to just have a good time, like go have a good time. But if you are trying to find a meaningful relationship, get really right with yourself about what it is that you essentially need, and then deal with the fact that not everybody's going to want to give that to you. And then also let those people go, because all these dating apps, they don't really say that kind of stuff on there. They really, like just make everything very compatible. And so you don't really see as clearly where that person is not at the line with you in value. If you really want a kid, if you really want to get married, and you don't put that out there, if you don't say, hey, I am ready to get married, because you're scared that guys are going to run off, I'm telling you, you're going to get hurt way more often. I would much rather see you say goodbye on the first date because that person isn't ready than constantly get hurt because you think that they're going to get run off and somehow someday down the line they're just going to want to get married. No, they're not. If they don't want to marry, they don't want to marry you. But if you put that out there, if you say I am dating to get married, scare them off if they're not the right guy. I know that's like a big value, but like that's a value that a lot of women want.
Yeah, if there wasn't a potion and Isolde had said I want to be queen, Tristan could have made an informed decision as to whether or not he could either make that happen or support her in having that, Yeah.
If we don't do that work, if we don't hold our lines, then all we're doing is blaming. All we're doing is saying, oh, look what that guy didn't do. Look what that guy didn't do. Look what that guy didn't do. Well, they weren't going to do it. Like, did you tell them what you wanted? Did you keep forgiving them? Did you keep pushing back your values in order to see what happens? I mean, we have to see where both of us are involved. And this is the Tristan and Isolde story, is they drank a potion. So they were locked with each other. And what happened when they were locked with each other? They went and told a monk they didn't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
We're just stuck because of this freaking potion, and I am stuck with this person. It was, I don't think it was like railing against it, but it's like, this wasn't of my free will, right? And that's what a love kind of feels like. That's what limerence kind of feels like sometimes. This isn't my free will. I don't know why I'm obsessed with this person. I don't know why I can't stop thinking about this person until after 3 years they go, I wanted to be queen.
Hold up.
Interesting. I remember that. I remember I wanted that. I wanted to be a knight. I'm going to take my mind off of you. I'm going to go do what I said. And then after that, they realized, wait, I actually do still think about you.
Mm.
I do still wonder about you. I don't know why. And that's when I think you get to love is not always predictable, right? Being okay with the present moment and the uncertainty of the present moment. And accepting that not every moment is going to be perfect. It isn't. So what is it that you want? What do you want? And what's that famous Notebook? What do you want? I don't know. What do you want? I don't know. And we can't keep putting it down to the fact that this guy's going to run you down off the road to get you. That's called stalking. We can't keep equating it. Oh my God, he chased me and he caught me and now I'm in his basement. Love. We can't keep equating it to that, because that is, after 3 years, you're going to want to get away from that person. That's what you're going to want to do, because it wasn't built off of what is reality. It's built off of a void in your heart, a hole in your heart, likely due to something in your childhood. I've literally heard, I don't know if you've heard this, but I've heard a lot of people talk about, abandonment issues and obviously negative childhoods, but I've heard people have really difficult love lives because they've seen parents who are completely in love. Everybody's got an issue around love. Everybody's got a void with love. It's a hard thing to find. You are where somebody is karmically in love and happy. There's other places in their life that aren't working as well as yours, and maybe they don't have a purpose, or maybe they don't feel connected to other things. Like, but because we don't have love, we're seeing anybody else in love like they've done it right.
Right.
And honestly, a lot of times it's that the guy is ready and also sensitive and open enough and wants the connection. And the woman has the values, the future, the expectations, and the embodiment to allow herself to be moody and then fine, to want to run away from you, and then, you know, you're drawn back by a snack, you know, like it's literally like you don't know why. But a lot of times it's like, I think we think that it's all supposed to be drawn out and mapped out, and it's just not. It's just like having kids too. It's like having a pet. It's all of it. Like, there is another human being there. There's another entity there, and they are allowed to be this other unpredictable thing. What needs to be stable is the future that you're going towards, even though things are going to knock that off, because that's just the way that it is. That person is consistent in their offering of trust and sensitivity or understanding. And honestly, like, I don't know, I don't want to police anybody's relationship. Some of y'all need things that I don't need, but you need to know them. You need to know them. And usually the man becomes inspired by them. Otherwise, it could be that, well, no, I think most of the time, even if like there's like this traditional relationship going on where the guy is like this big high-powered dude and the woman's like more of like a traditional wife kind of thing, that's what she wanted. And he wanted that too, but she's not becoming something that she didn't want to be. You know, I mean, and some of those turn sour, but you can't predict the future. That's the other, you can't predict it. You don't know what's going to happen. So the more you know about what you want, probably the better it'll turn out, but it doesn't always turn out that way. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, that's my thought on it.
That pretty much summarizes it. I like the not becoming something you don't want. Because if you understand what you do want, then you won't become something you don't want to become. If you end up getting married when like you didn't actually want marriage, you just wanted to travel the world and, you know, eat on the beaches of everywhere, you know, alone or with your girlfriends, then like, yeah, you're going to become something you don't want to be, and you're going to be resentful. But unfortunately, there is no potion.
Right.
It's your choices.
It's your choices. And things happen. Fate happens. You might get knocked up and you didn't mean to, you know, or your marriage, you marry a person who completely changes after the marriage. You find one of you sadly passes away. You know, little things happen. And if we don't lead with our integrity, our values, what it is that we really want, the life that we have will never really unfold, I think. I think that's the idea, is the unfolding of life and meeting it where it is. Like you said, how do I become okay with the present moment? Because when you're not okay with the present moment, that does cause resentment. Everybody feels that. You poison the well with that. Your children will feel that. Your home will feel that. Your community will feel that. And how do we course correct? That comes up with more values. That comes up with a different future. You know, we are ever changing and evolving.
More choices.
More choices. Exactly. Because fate comes in here and smacks you in the face.
And then love is an action, a choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I think we can say that, like, no matter what, we know one thing that love isn't, and that's completely losing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Love is not losing yourself.
Yeah. Agreed.
I like that. I feel like we're getting a little, like, it's almost like we're making a statue and just chiseling away. Like, it's not this part. That part can go. That part can, yes.
This is a David.
Yes, we're going to make those tendons.
Yeah. So make him.
Yes. And if you all have anything that you want to add to this, or stories you want to add to this, please put it in the comments. We'd love to bring them up. They're just back with snacks. We like snacks.
Before we jump off, do you want to let people know about your astrology link?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So I have started to write blogs again about upcoming transits. So we just had a new moon. So I wrote about the new moon in Cancer, Mercury retrograde in Cancer as well. I didn't include that, but new moon in Cancer. I also go through each rising sign, what you might experience. On the 17th, Jupiter will officially oppose Pluto, sextile Uranus, and trine Neptune. So I wrote about that, and I'm giving a rising sign synopsis of what might happen in the next year, since Jupiter stays in a sign for a year. And I'll be doing one on the full moon. So if you want to stay abreast of the transits, I thought about writing them a couple of days early. One, everybody does that. So you will be alerted 3 days early. If you follow anybody's astrology, you'll know that the new moon is coming 3 days early. As an astrologer, I tend to stick to the exact time because that's when it's happening. And if I hear about it 3 days early, I just forget anyways. So I would like to be the person that reminds you at the time. So if you've been hearing about it, that you get a reminder and you can read about it and you can express however way you want to express or reflect however you want to reflect in the moment. So if you want to be on time with astrology, definitely sign up. If you are already on my Substack, a lot of you only get our podcast. I have not signed all of you up to This Week in the Sky. So if you are not getting those emails, go to the Substack and subscribe to that email. I just didn't want to inundate everybody with these emails if you didn't want to know about astrology. So if you're not getting them, head over to the Substack. Our podcast is on Substack. So if you are listening to it and you're not on our Substack at all, you will see a link in the show notes that will take you to Substack. You just have to sign up to Substack and it'll automatically sign you up to This Week in the Sky. So I just set it to anybody who's new who signs up will also be signed up to This Week in the Sky. But if you've been listening to us and you're signed up to our Substack, you might not be getting it. So go and sign up to This Week in the Sky.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing, we are also including in the show notes a link to getting your natal chart report. First, if you click on that link, you will put in your information and it will give you your chart and all the placements, everything that you'd need to know. But if you want the report, at the very bottom, you can purchase the report for $33, and it's incredible. It's from Astro Charts. I think a lot of people know Astro Charts, but I love their reports. I think they're great. I don't do natal reports because I like doing more detailed reports, or I like doing more specific reports. But this one's a wonderful one. It's only $33 if you'd like it. But if you just want to know your rising sign or just your placements so that when I put up these blogs, let's say you only know your sun sign, just go put your information in and it'll give you all of that so that you can follow along with my blogs even if you don't want to report.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Excellent, amazing. And then come back next week for more love.
More love.
More love.
More
Pounding
love.
my pen like a fork.
Yes.
Get Sloppy Joe with us.
All right, until next time, guys.
Thank you for joining
Ciao.
us. And until next time, as above, so below, blessed be.